request or objection? Hearing none, House Bill 388 will be placed on general orders. The House will now have under consideration House Joint Memorial 7. Gentleman from 20.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd request unanimous consent to dispense with further reading of House Joint Memorial 7.
Without objection, gentleman has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a great way to start a Monday. I'm not going to read through House Joint Memorial 7. I'm going to allow you to do that, and I want to tell you a little story around this House Joint Memorial. In 2005, there was a unit in South Korea, an Army unit, infantry, that was assigned to go to Iraq. And this infantry unit needed some armor. And so they went to another command and they asked for a couple of tank units to accompany this infantry unit into Iraq to provide them security while they were in country. This memorial, this joint memorial, is about one of those tank units and specifically about one of the people that was in that tank. We happened to run into this young man last year, as many of you will remember, when Admiral Mullins, Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff, came to Boise to visit and talk about veterans and our struggles with returning veterans home, bringing them back into the communities and making them productive once again. The Admiral came at the bequest of our program where we're educating veterans, and when he had a meeting over at one of the meetings that he had over at BSU, we were looking for some wounded veterans that we could get there and maybe he could meet them. This young man was one of the veterans that showed up, and when he showed up, we started talking to him and we learned about this story. And the story goes like this. In the middle of May in 2005, there was 4 men in a tank. They'd found themselves a defensive position. They were outside the wire, patrolling a security area between Ramadi and Fallujah. They'd found themselves a defensive position. The tank commander was down in the tank, planning what his next move was going to be, a lieutenant. There was a gunner, and there was a loader, both up in the turrets, providing overwatch. The driver is in the front of the tank in his own compartment. The driver had been in country for 1 week. The gunner had eight years in the Army, was a hot running gunner, could shoot anything with a tank with any kind of ammunition. The gunner's on his side, the loader's on his side. The loader turns, hits his water bottle, and it falls down in the tank. So he comes into the tank to retrieve his water bottle, and an insurgent outside the tank throws 2 grenades into the turret. The gunner sees the grenades, hollers grenade, reaches down, grabs one with his left hand, tries to stick it in the breech of the cannon of the tank. And as he gets it in the breech, it goes off and it amputates his left hand. The next grenade went off. It took off the legs of the loader. Severe head injuries to the lieutenant, the tank commander, and multiple injuries to the gunner. Well, the gunner was the only one that was still conscious inside the tank. The gunner saw the smoke, the ammunition, where all of the munitions for the tank was stored. That area was breached. There was smoke, there was fire. His first concern was get his partners out of the tank. So with one hand, he grabbed the loader first, drug him out of the loader's turret, got him on the top of the tank. Grabbed the lieutenant, pulled him out of the turret, put him on the top of the tank. Started to provide first aid to these 2 folks without legs and with severe head injuries. While that was happening, the insurgent that dropped the grenades inside the tank started to come around and attack them again. So he pulled out his sidearm and he engaged the insurgent and dispatched him, continuing to provide first aid to the 2 men on the tank. The driver of the tank was in shock, didn't know what was going on. The gunner was banging on the tank driver's door to try and get his attention, to open up the door so they could communicate. Wiring was gone. They had no radio, they had nothing. The driver opened the door. The gunner told the driver, get us back to any secure area, drive right through the gate, don't stop to pay $200, just go. And so the gunner then went back, laid on top of the two men on the tank to protect him with his own body as the driver went back to the forward operating base, broke through the gate, and they got first aid for everyone that was there. This has been corroborated with letters from the lieutenant, who is now, he survived, he's a major, and still serving in the United States Army. The commanding officer at the forward operating base wrote a chapter in his book of his experiences in Iraq. Is dedicated, one chapter dedicated to this incident. The master sergeant or the first sergeant at the forward operating base has also provided a letter corroborating all of these things that happened. These 4 men were then taken out, medevaced, given first aid, taken care of, and the lieutenant at the time, now a major, had put in the gunner for a Silver Star. But because this is the fog of war, understand we've got an infantry unit requested an armored unit to come and support them. Everybody thinks the other guy's taking care of them. And here, nothing happened. The gunner that saved these 3 other men that day, the gunner that brought back a $5 million tank and all of its munitions and kept that from falling in enemy hands, received his Purple Heart in a hospital, was medically retired out of the Army, and came home back here to Idaho. And just assumed everyone would forget about it and he would go about his business. Well, we happened to learn of this story last year when the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff came. And so a friend of our program started helping pull all of the letters and the corroborating evidence together, and that is now put together in a package that will accompany this joint memorial, along with a letter from the gentleman on the second floor, along with a letter from our congressional delegation to go back to the President of the United States and see if we can offer this young man an award of the Medal of Honor. Mr. Speaker, if I could, a personal point of privilege.
The gentleman has the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this young gunner, Chris Tschida, this young gunner deserves everything that we can provide to him. Recognition of saving that tank, saving those men, saving those munitions, and keeping that material out of insurgents' hands. So I would ask that you not only give, if we do a voice vote on this, not only give a yay to this particular joint memorial, but give a hearty yay. And let's make sure that the folks in Washington, D.C. understand that the folks in Idaho will take care of our own.
Is there further debate? Hearing none, debate is closed. Without objection, there will be a voice vote. Question is, shall House Joint Memorial 7 pass? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. House Joint Memorial 7 has passed the House. Is there correction to title? Hearing none, the title is approved and the memorial will be sent to the Senate. The House will now have under consideration House Bill 418. The gentleman from 28.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent.